Have you ever loved someone so deeply that even breathing felt incomplete without them? But then imagine your love standing in front of you, their hand reaching for yours, and suddenly the sharp voice of your parents cuts through the moment. No, this love will never be accepted in our house. That is where my story begins. And if you've ever felt trapped between your heart and your family's rules, stay with me till the end, because my journey might feel like your reflection. My name is Seren, and I never thought I would be forced to choose between love and loyalty, between the man who healed my broken soul and the parents who raised me with every sacrifice they had. It all started on a rainy afternoon when the campus lawn was almost empty and I was sitting under the old oak tree reading notes before my final presentation. That's when he came, Adrian Veyron. His presence wasn't loud, but his calm confidence carried weight. The kind of weight that made people turn their heads without him even trying. He asked me if I could lend him a pen, and when I handed it over, our eyes met for the first time. Something about his eyes felt like a storm wrapped in kindness, dangerous yet protective, and in that moment, I didn't know life had already changed. Our conversations grew faster than the clock, from late-night library talks to long walks by the city river, where we shared our fears, our failures, and the silent dreams we had never told anyone else. Adrian wasn't perfect, but his imperfections matched mine, and together we built a love that was not just romantic. It was survival. It was healing. But there was one shadow always present: my parents. My father, Elias, was a man of strict tradition who believed love marriages never last. My mother, Camille, was softer, but her silence was her way of agreeing with him. In their eyes, I was supposed to marry someone from our own community, someone with the same background, someone they could proudly introduce at family gatherings. Adrian was everything opposite. His roots were different, his beliefs more modern, his career still unstable because he was chasing his startup dream instead of a safe job. To my parents, he was risk. To me, he was hope. The first time Adrian came to drop me home, my father noticed his car, old and slightly dented, and his face tightened with disapproval. That night, I overheard their conversation. My father's angry whisper to my mother, "Do you want her to destroy her life with a man who has nothing to offer but empty dreams?" My mother didn't reply, but her silence felt like a stone crushing my chest. The next morning, I sat at the breakfast table, pretending to read the newspaper, when my father suddenly said, "Seren, I have already started talking to a family for your marriage. They have a son, wealthy, settled, respected." My spoon slipped from my hand, and the clatter was louder than my heartbeat. I wanted to scream. I wanted to say Adrian's name, but fear froze me, because in our house, questioning my father was like questioning God. Days turned into weeks, and the pressure grew heavier. Adrian noticed my silence, my hesitation. One evening, as we stood on the bridge where we used to watch the city lights, he asked softly, "Are you ashamed of me, Seren?" His voice cracked, and my eyes filled instantly. I shook my head, holding his hand tightly. "Never. But my parents, they don't see you the way I do." His jaw tightened, his eyes burning with pain. "So will you let them decide who you love, or will you fight?" That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing my father's voice saying Adrian was a mistake, and Adrian's voice asking me to fight. I was torn between two worlds. Things got worse when my father finally confronted me directly. He stood in my room, his hands trembling with rage. "Seren, if you marry that boy, forget you ever had parents.
"We will cut you off forever." His words stabbed deeper than any knife. I broke down on the floor, my tears soaking the carpet, while my mother watched silently from the doorway, her face pale but her lips sealed. I wanted her to defend me, to say something, but she turned away, leaving me alone in my pain. The next day, Adrian came to see me. His eyes carried both love and fire. "Seren, enough hiding. We can run away, start fresh somewhere they can't control us." My heart raced, torn between desire and fear. "Adrian, I can't just abandon them. They raised me, they gave me everything. How do I betray them for us?" He held my face gently, whispering, "This isn't betrayal, it's choosing your happiness. Do you want to spend the rest of your life living their dream, or do you want to live yours?" His words shook me, but my mind was trapped. That night, my father announced a dinner with the family he had chosen for me. I sat at the table, dressed in a gown my mother had laid out, while my soul felt chained. The man they brought was polite, successful, but his smile never reached his eyes. He talked about his business, his travels, his plans, but never once asked me about my dreams. I kept nodding, pretending, but inside I was screaming Adrian's name. When the dinner ended, I ran to my room and locked the door, my chest collapsing under the weight of silence. I dialed Adrian's number with shaking fingers, and when he picked up, I whispered through tears, "I can't breathe anymore. I can't live like this." And that's when he said the words that changed everything. "Then let's stop surviving, Seren, and start living."
The next morning, I woke up with swollen eyes, but a heart that had made a decision. I couldn't let my parents bury me alive under traditions, yet I couldn't simply erase them from my life either. I walked into the kitchen where my father sat reading the newspaper and my mother poured tea. My voice trembled, but carried a firmness even I didn't recognize. "Father, I love Adrian, and I will not marry anyone else." The silence that followed was louder than thunder. My father's eyes rose slowly from the paper, his face turning red, veins throbbing in his forehead. "Then you are no longer my daughter." My mother gasped, but quickly lowered her head, as if agreeing would save her from the storm. My hands shook, but I didn't move. I stood frozen, a statue carved by pain. Later that evening, Adrian and I sat in a small cafe far from our neighborhood, our fingers entwined on the table. He spoke with urgency. "We have to act now, Seren. If you stay longer, they will break you. They'll tie you into their marriage plans before you can breathe." I looked at him, fear gripping me. "Do you think we can survive against them? Against the whole society?" He leaned closer, his voice low but steady. "Love isn't about surviving. It's about living with truth. Even if the world burns against us, we'll build our own." His words filled me with courage I never knew I had. We planned everything: where we would go, how we would manage, who could help us. But life is never that simple. My father, suspecting my every move, had already started watching me. One evening when Adrian dropped me near my house, my father appeared out of nowhere. He dragged me inside by my wrist, his grip cruel, his voice roaring like a beast. "You dare bring shame to this family? Do you want people to spit on our name?" Tears streamed down my face as I begged, "Father, please, this isn't shame. This is love. Don't take away my happiness." But he only shoved me into my room and locked the door, as if I were a prisoner inside my own home. That night, I felt hopeless until I heard a faint tapping on my window. My heart leapt. It was Adrian. He whispered fiercely, "Serene, climb down, now." My hands trembled as I pushed open the window, my fear and love fighting inside me. But when I looked down and saw him standing there, his arms open, his eyes blazing with determination, I knew I couldn't stay caged any longer. I grabbed my small bag, climbed out, and fell into his embrace, tears and relief washing over me. We ran through the dark streets, hearts pounding, breaths heavy, but our souls screaming freedom. For the first time, I felt alive. Days turned into weeks as we lived in a small apartment Adrian had borrowed from a friend. Life was hard. We barely had enough money. We ate cheap meals, and sometimes the electricity would cut off. But when I looked at Adrian's tired yet smiling face, I felt richer than ever before. Happiness wasn't comfort. It was choice. And I had chosen him. But the storm wasn't over. My parents found out where I was living. One night there was a knock on the door, loud and sharp. I opened it to find my mother standing there, her eyes swollen with tears. She stepped inside, her voice breaking. "Serene, your father is sick with anger. He hasn't eaten properly in days. He keeps saying you killed his pride." My chest tightened, guilt stabbing me like knives. Adrian held my hand, silently begging me to stay strong. My mother continued, "Please come back. We can fix this quietly. Just end this madness before it destroys us all." Tears rolled down my cheeks as I whispered, "Mother, I love him. Can't you see I'm happy? Why can't you let me live my life?" Her lips trembled, but before she could answer, my father barged in, his face pale with rage. He pointed at Adrian, shouting, "You! You poisoned her mind. You stole my daughter." Adrian stood tall, his voice firm but respectful. "Sir, I didn't steal her. She chose me. She chose love, and I will protect her with my life." My father's eyes widened with fury. "If you walk out with him again, Serene, don't ever come back. You'll be dead to us." The words crushed me, yet somewhere deep inside, a strange strength rose. I wiped my tears and spoke, my voice shaking yet powerful. "If being your daughter means killing my own heart, then maybe I was never your daughter to begin with." The room froze in silence. My father's face turned away, his pride stronger than his love. My mother cried silently, torn between husband and daughter, between culture and compassion. That night they left, slamming the door behind them, leaving me and Adrian in a sea of tears, but also in a new light of freedom. Months passed. Life wasn't perfect. We struggled. We fought sometimes, but we loved harder than ever. And slowly, something unexpected happened. My mother began visiting me in secret, bringing food, checking on us, her love too strong to be chained by pride. She never admitted it openly, but in her quiet eyes, I saw it. She understood now. She saw that love wasn't rebellion, it was survival. And even though my father never forgave me, I carried no hate in my heart, because in the end, I realized something powerful. Parents may fight love because they fear losing control, but real love, the kind Adrian and I built, doesn't need approval. It just needs courage. And that courage taught me that happiness isn't about choosing between family and love. It's about choosing truth over fear. And so here I am, still standing, still loving, still living, with scars from the past, but hope for the future. Whispering this story to you, not as a warning, but as a reminder. Sometimes the greatest act of love is daring to choose it, even when the world tells you not to.